Welcome to the third episode of Bruin Banter TV. I'm Josh Lewis of the Estevan Mercury. I hope you've been watching the first couple of episodes. We've got another 15 minutes or so of Bruins action for you to watch here today. We're at Spectra Place. We're doing a little bit of investigation, I guess you call it, into the Bruins start to the season. Obviously, the Bruins losing 3 games in a row. And we'll tell you a little bit about that start, just in case you've been living under a rock the last few days or been out of the country. The first game, the season opener against Melville on September 20th, certainly a forgettable start to the year for the Bruins. They lose 10-2 in Melville. Not a bad start to the game for the team, but it just started to unravel in the second period, and a humiliating start to the season for sure. The next night, the home opener here at Banter Place, the team sold out for the first time in 7 years. That was the positive to the night. The downside was the fact that they lost again, this time 4-2 to Melville with an empty net goal. A much better game for the team, but still they get the same result, which is another addition to the loss column. And in their third game Tuesday against the Melfort Mustangs, a fantastic game, a great goalie duel, and not a bad game by any stretch by the Bruins, but they go down to defeat 2-1 in overtime with Jarrett Zentner scoring a very fluky goal in overtime. So that's where the Bruins are at this point, going into a road trip this weekend where they'll visit Nipawin, Laurens, and Humboldt. So we talked to a few people with the Bruins to get their thoughts on the past week. Welcome back to Bruins Banter TV. We're with Bruins President Jeff Pearson. Jeff, your first appearance on the show. How excited are you about that?
Oh, I'm honored that you guys are having me on.
Obviously, you paid close attention to the start of the year. Not an ideal start for the Bruins. What are your thoughts on what's happened over the last week or so?
Well, obviously I wouldn't have, in a perfect world expected a start quite like this, but in saying that, it's still September. Nothing's won in September. And, we have a lot of guys in camp still battling for positions. I think the main things you want to be worried about are your goaltending, which proved to be very good last night. We have that shored up, and just finding the right balance in the roster, and I think we'll be fine.
What are some of the things, after watching the first 3 games that you think need to improve?
I just think capitalize on scoring chances was evident last night, and that's just something, I think you got some guys that are still playing nervous because of, the number of guys being around and grabbing their sticks a little tight. And not to mention, this team's been picked by a lot of people to be a contender in the league, so there's pressure from all around, and I think once the team gets settled, we'll be fine.
Who are some of the kids that have impressed you so far out there?
Well, our rookie crew is very good, and I got to be careful when I say names, but there's just a good slew of them. Up front, Hudson Morrison, I don't think anyone will be surprised when I throw out that name. He's impressed me since camp. Another guy I'm terribly excited for is Wyatt Garrigan. I haven't seen him have a bad game yet. His physical presence, he just goes out there, and there's not many shifts there isn't a big hit. On defense, Douglas, if I didn't know his age, I would never guess he's a 17-year-old hockey player. Plays with some good poise, and he's impressed me from the start. Robinson keeps getting better game after game. Domain, another big-bodied kid. Our young players they haven't let us down. They're contributing, and we just, got to get the mix within the lineup right.
Yeah. Off the ice, you guys sold out the other night in the home opener for the first time in 7 years, I think it was.
That you can see it brings a smile on my face. For us to sell out Spectra Place, it was just fantastic, and they're our front office staff. Just a big shout out to Becky Tate. The work that went into packing the Spectra wasn't a little. You just hit all the schools, and just unbelievable to see this place full on a home opener. And sadly we didn't win the game, but I'm very proud of the production we put on during a game. I think that's become a big part of it just isn't hockey. You got to entertain the people while we're here, and I think we're doing a very good job of that.
Yeah, you guys have really developed a good game day presentation. I mean, obviously with the home opener, it's a bit of a unique thing with the fireworks, but then, also the mascot and some of the intermission activities and stuff. How important has moving and dispatcher plays been for that, giving you all these increased revenue streams?
Oh, it's been a rebirth for us. We're able to turn off the lights, at the start of our game, which is silly as it sounds. We weren't able to in the Civic. The sound system we have in here. I really like how we have a game day host for our events, and just every game, the opening video you see when you come to the games that are changed throughout the year that are done so professionally. The Streamflow Ice team does a fantastic job for us. We have a new mascot. There's giveaways throughout the game. There's interaction with the crowd. And again, it just makes it a whole entertainment experience. And that's, I think, becomes so important at a hockey game.
Away from the rink, Jeff, you've become a bit of a music connoisseur here. Every time I see you, you seem to be telling us about some new song that you're just loving. Can you give us a music recommendation for today?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm quite a music buff, and my favorite right now is a song by the Killers called "The Runaways." And anyone that's interested, they have a new album out, and it's just fantastic from start to finish.
Sounds good, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. I think everyone should check it out.
All right, thanks, Jeff. That's going to do it. Welcome back to Bruins Banter TV. You've probably noticed we've been talking about a goalie a little bit in the last couple of segments that you may not recognize. Curtis Martineau has been the Bruins starting goaltender for the first 3 games this season. Martineau was acquired last week from the Trenton Golden Hawks of the Ontario Junior Hockey League. And the reason that the Bruins had to bring him in was, of course, Stephen Glass, their starter from last season, still has a nagging knee injury. He, in fact, is going to have surgery on Monday, some arthroscopic surgery, just to see what's going on in there and kind of figure out if anything has to be done and how long he might be out of action. So the Bruins picked up Curtis Martineau. He's a 20-year-old goaltender, originally from St. Joachim, Ontario. He spent last season with the Drayton Valley Thunder in the Alberta Junior Hockey League. And with Drayton Valley, he got into 32 games and had a .319 goals against average with an .898 save percentage. So Martineau struggled in the season opener against Melville, but of course everybody struggles in a 10-2 loss. And he's bounced back quite nicely the last 2 games. And actually in the game against Melford on Tuesday, had an outstanding effort for the most part. So Curtis Martineau will be the guy between the pipes for an undetermined amount of time. I guess it all depends on how long Stephen Glass will be out. But if he can turn in more outings like he did against Melford, I don't think the Bruins will be too upset having him as their starting goaltender. Welcome back to the show. We're joined by the venerable Rick Oakes, Director of Player Personnel for the Estevan Bruins. Rick, who are we talking about today in terms of Bruins prospects?
We're going to talk about Lampman product, Edwin Hookinson today, defenseman, 1995 defenseman, playing with the current Legionnaires. Edwin's entering his 3rd season there, and I know the new coaching staff is very excited to have Edwin on board. He's going to be a leader for them and be a top-end guy, play some top 3 minutes, and develop his game to the point where he's going to step in and be a key guy for us next year as an 18-year-old in Estevan here.
He's been to several camps with the Bruins now. What have you seen from him over the last little while in terms of what he can bring to the table?
Edwin's just a very smart hockey player. He sees the ice very well. He moves the puck very well. When we listed him as a 15-year-old, he wasn't really highly sought after, but we've seen the potential in the kid. Like the way he moved the puck, the way he's seen the ice. But to be honest with you, he's a very small bantam, and he's growing. He's 6 feet plus now, and just a good, solid player, great leader, great character, and just from a great family. So we're excited to have him as part of our organization and looking forward to having him in our lineup as an 18-year-old.
3 goals and 24 assists last year with the Swift Current Legionnaires. Do you think he'll be able to provide some offense at the SJHL level?
That's what we're hoping. In a perfect world, we would have had room for him this year, but just with our depth in our D core, we thought it was better for Edwin to go back and spend another year in AAA and be a leader there and get the opportunity to quarterback their power play. And when he steps in next year as an 18-year-old in Estevan, we fully expect he's going to do the same thing here and take the ball and run with it as far as a power play quarterback, puck moving guy, and just an all around leader for us. So.
Welcome back to Bruin Banter TV. We're joined by Bruins head coach Keith Cassidy. And Keith, obviously it hasn't been an ideal start for you guys this year with 3 losses to start the year, but at the same time, it's a long season. What are your thoughts on what's transpired here so far for you guys?
Well, like you said, obviously it's not the start we wanted to. That first game, I think, threw everybody a little bit off rhythm, and just getting the guys settled down from that has been a task in itself. But I was impressed with the way we handled the home opener. We worked hard. We played a very good team to a pretty close game. And then last night, a couple of opportunities that we missed out on, and it might have been a different game, but. We'll learn from that. The things that I am impressed with so far is I think Curtis Martineau has obviously settled down and found his groove. We saw that last night. I'm impressed with our defense core, and it's only going to get stronger. So what we have to do now is just add the scoring part of it. And I'd rather build from the back end out than be scrambling to try and find goaltenders and defensemen at this point.
Yeah, the Melfort game on Tuesday, obviously a good battle really from start to finish, and decided on a decidedly fluky goal in OT, but a great goalie duel, like you said, Martin, who really kind of shone there for the first time here, and lots to build off. Would you say from that game?
I think so. I think people may look at it as, well, it's a game against Melfort, but you know what? They're a hard-working team. And, they played us hard last year, whether it was in their building or our building. I thought it was a reasonably good game last night in terms of our effort and their effort. And, like you say, it came down to that last goal, and it was just a battle that, off a fluke bounce. So, but no excuses there. We've got to be better in terms of burying our chances. We had the opportunities last night to take control of that game, and I think as guys get a little more settled and a little more comfortable with their roles and what they're supposed to be doing out there, then we're going to be fine.
What's it like at this point where, with high expectations, and obviously you guys as a coaching staff realize that there are 51 games left and very early in the season, but on the other hand, you've also got people who naturally, gravitate to the panicky side of it, and you've also got a lot of young players too. What's the atmosphere like now, I guess?
Well, and that's one of the big things that ourselves as a coaching staff and as a group have to relay to these guys is that, one game does not make a season, 3 games doesn't make a season. And like I said, one of the big chores after that first game was getting everybody back down and settle down and realize that we can play hockey, things like that. You don't like to see them happen, but they do, and it's not. It doesn't define you. You have to go out there and rebound and have a good showing, and I think we did a reasonable job of that. The wins will come. I'm not worried about that at this particular point. We do have some tweaking to do, but it's a matter of having a plan in mind and building from it. I mean, you're not going to win all 56 games in the season. And I think, at the point that we are, 0-3 at this point, there's some things to learn from that, and things that we didn't learn last year as a team after coming out and having a hot start. And I'd much rather, have this under our belt and learn from it and build off this than think we're great and then all of a sudden we run into some adversity and don't know how to react to it. So we'll get it out of the way early, and hopefully that brings the team together.
Got a long road trip coming up now this weekend, going to Nipawin, Laurens, and Humboldt. Pretty tough task this early in the season. What's the goal as a team going into the weekend?
Well, I think it comes at a good time for us, actually. I like getting the team on the road early, getting them in the hotel rooms together, bonding with one another. So I think it's a good opportunity to, and good timing for us to be able to go on the road. I know Nipawin's going to have a good team, so that'll be a good test for us. Going into Laurens for the first time for some guys is always an interesting experience, so I'm looking forward to seeing how guys react to that. And then, of course, Humboldt's always Humboldt. They're going to be good. It doesn't matter who they lost last year. They're going to be good. So that'll be a good test for us as well. So 3 games in 3 nights. We certainly have the bodies to do it. And, we'll it'll answer a few questions up there this weekend. That's for sure, and I'm looking forward to it.
What are the biggest things you've identified at this point that need to improve for you to pick up a couple of wins?
Well, I think obviously capitalizing on our opportunities, because we did generate some good, solid scoring opportunities, and it's a matter of, guys getting in their groove, and those are plays that normally they're going to put away. So that's a big thing as well. That's the big thing so far. I think guys getting used to their line mates for sure. We've had different configurations pretty much all 3 games, but that's this time of year, trying to figure out who's clicking with who, and I think once that settles down and guys start reading off one another, it'll be good.
You've had a look at most of your rookies now in regular season action. You've had them in and out throughout the first 3 games. Who are some of the guys that have really stood out there for you?
Well, I think obviously Hudson Morrison's done well for us. Ben Williams, I think he brings what we expect out of him. Dayton Picard was his first action last night. I thought, he represented himself well. The only guy that hasn't been in the lineup yet is Brandon Hubble-Watson. We've talked to him about being patient and waiting for his opportunity, and he'll get that this weekend. And Darcy DeRoos, I think, has come back, and he does everything well as a hockey player. I think he's just got to realize that this game probably isn't as big a drop off from where he's from as he might think, and I think once he settles into the game, I think he'll be all right. On the back end, I've been pleased with all our defensemen that have been in the lineup. I mean, I think David Robertson has played like a vet back there. Douglas is going to be, by Christmas time, he'll be fantastic. I think he's done some really good things out there. Everybody that's been in the lineup back there, I've been happy with.
Okay, thanks, Keith.
Thank you very much.